Okay, Catherine, take it from here.
Thank you, Talia. Good evening, everyone. This is a CPOC Commissioner meeting, and it is hereby called to order. The time is 6:05 p.m. My name is Catherine Twigg. I am the General Counsel of the Citizens Police Oversight Commission. I will facilitate tonight's meeting. This is a public meeting of the Citizens Police Oversight Commission that was properly advertised pursuant to the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act. I will ask our outreach team to post the agenda and the ED report in the chat. Perfect timing. I will also ask that any attendees who are members of the press indicate that by changing their name or identifying themselves as press if they are planning to ask a question. If I could ask the panelists to mute themselves for now. Thank you very much. At this time, we will take roll call. So I'll immediately ask you to unmute yourself in a second. Tonight, Commissioner Jelly Hatchett and Commissioner Melanie DeBose both indicated that they would not be able to make it and are excused absence tonight. Commissioner Hassan Bennett.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner John Solomon.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Rosara Thomas.
Here.
Thank you. And Commissioner Hakeem P.A.
Present.
Thank you. With 4 commissioners, we do not have a quorum tonight, so we will not consider the minutes from last meeting or adopt the agenda. At this time, we will put those until the next meeting. I would also like to update the public that 2 of our commissioners, Jelly Hatchett and Hakeem P.A., concluded their terms on this commission as of April 28th, 2024. As our legislation specifies, they are continuing to serve as holdovers while City Council and the Mayor's Office are assembling a selection panel to fill the vacancies on our commission. I won't delay us with too much formality today concerning them, but I do want to say thank you to both of them for their service on this commission and for continuing to assist us while we wait for some new commissioners. Really appreciate that. And I want to provide public notice that we had executive sessions pursuant to the Sunshine Act on April 8th, April 11th, April 16th, and April 23rd of 2024 related to privileged and confidential business.
Point of order. Point of order, please.
Okay, Commissioner Thomas.
Okay. I understand that there was an executive meeting brought to order on the 8th, but I was not in attendance at that meeting. So I don't think that it was a full quorum because I was not there. So
okay.
We cannot, okay.
I'll be happy to speak with you more about that if you would like after this meeting.
Sure, sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. And at this point, I'm going to turn over to the Executive Director report. I'm thrilled tonight to say that Tanya McClary, our incoming Executive Director, is here to give the report. So over to you, Tanya.
Well, let me say good evening to everyone, and I am so excited to be here. This will be my first Executive Director's report, and I really want to thank the team at the office for putting this together. I wanted to let the commissioners know that going forward, I wanted to do something very different. I know you normally hear from the Executive Director, but I think it's really important for the public and also the commissioners to hear from my team members. So when we get to certain sections of the Executive Director report, I'm actually going to turn it over to the directors of those different areas or their designee. And so I think it's really great to hear other voices, but also to hear from the people that are doing the work. So that'll be a little something different than I think you all do. And so my report will primarily going forward kind of be highlights and things that won't be reported out from the other sections of the office. And so with that, if you could go to the next slide. All right, so that's just an introduction of me. So people can read that at their leisure. And so to just go over the roles and responsibilities of the Citizens Police Oversight Commission. And so we will just kind of give a highlight of those. The CPOC currently receives complaints of police misconduct. It audits and monitors internal affairs investigations and police disciplinary processes. It sits and votes on PBI panels to police discipline hearings, conducts oversight of police shootings, analyzes police data, develops police recommendations and reports, and engages in outreach and training. Next slide. So we had our budget hearing on April the 17th, and we were able to give testimony in front of City Council. And this is the first time the CPOC has presented as an independent agency. So that was very, very exciting. I was actually able to be there, as you can see from the photographs. And so testimony gave a highlight of CPOC's major accomplishments over the last year. We explained what we could do with the increased funding, and some of the things that we put forward to do with the increased funding have to do with expanding the investigations unit, expanding the outreach unit, and developing a data unit. And so I was introduced to council, and anybody that wants to view that can go to view the testimony on the City Council's YouTube channel. I think we lost visual for the report. Is it just me? Okay. Awesome.
I am so sorry. Are you able to see everything now? Is it full screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, perfect.
Awesome. So we can go to the next slide. So complaint data and demographics. So in the month of April of 2024, we referred 19 complaints to the Philadelphia Police Department's Internal Affairs Division. And we have referred a total of 61 complaints so far in 2024. And the charts that are on the screen will give the public and the commission a sense of the demographics from our 2024 complaints as reported by the complainants. So as you can see, there are certain categories that probably aren't shocking for some folk. When we look at the race demographics, we see that the largest amount of complaints have come from African-American, the Black and African-American population, followed by white, then followed by not specified. And that's why we're very clear to say that it's reported by the complainant. So if the complainant doesn't identify their race, we're not able to bring you all that information. And the same thing in terms of gender distribution. So the largest percentage of complaints we've gotten so far this year have been from male population, as well as followed very closely by female. And then we did have people that didn't specify the gender. And we also have some that are trans. And so we bring you all the demographics as people self-identify. Next slide, please. So when we look at in the month of April, we talked about the complaints that have gone forward. And so when we look at more than half of the allegations reported so far in 2024 to date are related to lack of service. So people feeling like they haven't gotten service, and also departmental violations. And so, and I just want to remind the public, because sometimes it says, well, how can you only had 61 complaints, how do you have all of these numbers? It seems greater than that. And that's because a single complaint can have multiple misconduct allegations. So for example, we can have one complainant, but they have 4 or 5 different misconduct allegations. And so that counts for sometimes the numbers not matching up when you see the number of complaints received versus the number of allegations. And so if we can go to the next slide, please. And this is our complaint data map. And this map shows the breakdown of where complaints incidents happened in 2024 so far, as reported by the complainants. And so this data is going to be very helpful to us. As you saw, we're hoping to develop a data unit. And so this is really going to help us figure in places where the office and the commission may need to focus in on some issues around education, around policing, et cetera, potentially complaint sites. And so this information is very, very helpful to let you all know where we're starting to see a majority of the complaints coming in the city. If we could go to the next slide. And so at this point in time, I'm going to turn over, we're going to have the report from our auditing and monitoring division. And so I'm going to ask if Janie Sajak can come on and give us that report, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Tanya. Yep, it's Janine Zajac. I'm the director of the Auditing and Monitoring Unit. And we have some updates on this slide and the next about what our unit has been up to this month. So first and foremost, our first auditing report is complete and will soon be released. It covers the foundational work of the unit, how we developed our complaint auditing program, which is how we review closed internal affairs investigations into complaints made by members of the public. So I'm extremely proud of the report. We put a lot of work into developing the program and getting this report prepared and analyzing all the data. Our senior auditor, Kimmy Crane, was extremely helpful in creating this report. So hopefully we can present the findings to everyone at a future meeting. After this, oh, sorry, you can go back. Sorry. After this report is released, we'll hopefully do some more regular report releasings because this is work that's continuing every day in the unit. We're doing complaint audits every day and developing more and more data. So hoping to release reports regularly about our work. And we're also continuing our body worn camera work. And we've heard about that in the past. So you can move on to the next slide. Thank you. We're also developing a project right now to review investigations into uses of force that Internal Affairs does. So it's in the development stage right now, continuing to provide updates as the project solidifies, but we're working to set some parameters for that project and understand what we can accomplish with it. And we are still working to formalize our investigation monitoring program. So we are currently monitoring 9 cases at Internal Affairs, and 7 of those have interviews ongoing. So we attend interviews for these investigations. As they happen, we ask questions, we participate, and speak to the investigators about their work. So the goal is to be able to eventually report out on the observations that we're making during these interviews and formalize how we do this monitoring and get some rules of the road in place between us and Internal Affairs for how that works. So that's developing, and we'll continue to give updates on that as they occur. And I don't remember if I have another slide. So if you want to go to the next slide, and that's it for me. So thank you very much.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm going to ask if Jameson Rogers, our Director of Investigation, can take the next section of this agenda.
Absolutely. And welcome, Ms. McCleary. Welcome. My name is James Rogers. I'm the Director of Investigations for CPOC. And usually my slides are fairly brief. We cover the recent officer-involved shootings that have occurred. So with that, there has been 3 police shootings in the month of April, and there's been a 6 total of this year. How we calculate officer-involved shootings, they're categorized as the total number includes every time a PPD officer discharges their firearm. Accidental discharges, animal shootings, or officer suicides are not included. And again, we also have a website available to the public to be updated on these OISs as they occur. Next slide, please. And to update the public on the recent officer-involved shootings for the month of April, the first one occurred in April 10th in the 4700 block of Wissel-Lucien Avenue in the 16th District. The second was on April 15th in the 1000 block of West Dakota Street in the 22nd District. And the third one was April 20th in the unit block of Cliveden Street in the 14th District. And in all these instances, the investigation unit responds in real time to officer-involved shootings immediately when they occur. And we are overseeing the investigation and the life cycle of that investigation from the beginning to the end. And with that, I will send it over to, I believe, policy.
So our Director for Policy, Anastasia McCarthy, is unable to be with us this evening, but Allison Tatey from the Policy Unit will give us the update.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to share with you the latest updates from the CPOC Policy Unit. So the policy team has been actively engaged in several key activities. We had the privilege of attending the final presentations at the University of Pennsylvania's Data for Equitable Justice Lab. We had originally presented to that class regarding the work with data and data-driven decision-making CPOC does, so it was nice to see that come full circle. We also participated in the Philadelphia Committee on City Policies meeting where we had the honor of hearing from Jody Harris, a Philadelphia native who recently made history as the 12th chief executive and the first African-American woman to serve as the role of the president in PIDC's 65-year history. So that was really wonderful. Furthermore, next slide, please. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. We assisted in planning and meeting and facilitating the Kensington community meeting. And we also met with key stakeholders, including the district attorney's office, the Fraternal Order of Police President, Vice President, and board members, as well as the Office of Criminal Justice. And these interactions are crucial in fostering meaningful dialogue and catalyzing positive change within policing and our community. And we look forward to continuing our efforts and making a lasting impact. And that's all from us.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so I'm going to ask if Talia Grimmage can bring us our outreach and training unit updates.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. My name is Talia Grimmage. I am the Director of Outreach and Constituent Services for CPOC, and I am just so proud of the unit and all the work that we have been doing in the community. If you're unfamiliar with our work, the Training and Outreach Unit is responsible for handling the incoming complaints that the office receives. We provide constituent services to city residents who need resources and connections to other city services. We are responsible for our community education and training of staff, as well as engaging with many of the diverse communities in the city. And we create the content for all of our social media pages for the agency, and we respond to and accept media requests. The team is comprised of myself, Damon Green, who is our training and outreach manager, Julian Jordan and Jeriana Hernandez, who are our community outreach and constituent services specialists, and Jody Eichel, who is our new social media and communications officer. So I just want to talk a little bit about some of the community events that we have attended and or spearheaded this month. We hosted a community town hall in Kensington. We were hosted by the Esperanza Core Community Center. It was a beautiful space. We gathered there and we discussed civilian oversight, community police relations, mental health support, the Kensington Initiative Plan, quality of life concerns, safety within the business corridor, and some of the priorities that the Kensington community members felt were a priority for that area. We had some community presentations by some of our partners. One was the City of Philadelphia Office of Criminal Justice, Prevention Point, and also Congresso. We had Spanish interpretation and Mandarin interpretation available to make this meeting as accessible as possible for the community. And as you can see from all of the logos here, we were joined by over 11 vendors. If you attended this event, you may have noticed that this particular community event did not have any members of law enforcement in attendance. Though we often ask the police department to come and speak at our events, we wanted to make this particular meeting, this first meeting in Kensington, a safe space for residents to express their concerns, to voice their opinions. So we asked only that civilian community members attend. As many of you know, there are times when having uniformed officers in the room, it can create some reluctance in residents sharing opinions, and it can certainly impact attendance if residents may have documentation status issues or concerns, or just may be somewhat reluctant to share their point of view if uniformed officers are in the room. So we are looking forward to continuing to engage the Kensington community, and we are hopeful that at future events, we will be joined by the Philadelphia Police Department. We also had representation at this event from 3 members of City Council, Jim Harity and Mark Squilla. They both attended in person themselves, and Nina Ahmad sent a representative from her office. So this month out in the community, we are always busy at the outreach team. We attended the Love Thyself Community Resource Fair that was held at the Warren G. Harding Middle School and hosted by Juvenile Probation. We attended the Spring into Summer Community Event, which was hosted by the Congresso Family Empowerment Center. We attended the Cambodian New Year celebration, which was hosted by the Priya Buddha Rangsi Temple. We celebrated with the community, and we also brought along our language access survey, which is a tool that we are using to gauge feedback from community members about their satisfaction and their opinion on how the police department utilizes translation and interpretation services. We also attended the Community Youth and Senior Health and Resource Fair, which was hosted by the Lonnie Young Advisory Council. We were also at the 7th Police District Advisory Council meeting. So many of you may be aware that each police district has a PDAC, the Police District Advisory Council, which is made up of community members that advise that particular district on things that they see in the community. And so CPOC has given presentations at the PDAC meetings, and recently we were at the 7th District. This one was hosted by Cora Services. Excuse me. We also attended Congresso's All Things STEM Mapping Career Day. Very exciting. We also were at City Council, and we attended the resolution ceremony, which was honoring Sapphira Cristol. If you are familiar with RuPaul's Drag Race, Sapphira made it to the top 3. Philly is very proud of her and all of her contributions to drag culture and the arts. And so anytime we get an opportunity to celebrate with the community, we are there. So as you can see from the pictures here, it was a very exciting event. You have some of CPOC staff there. We made some homemade signs. We had some t-shirts, and it was great to be there with City Council and some other city departments. We celebrated National Crime Victims' Rights Week. And we attended the candle lighting ceremony that took place in the City Hall atrium, which was hosted by the Philly Coalition for Victims Advocacy. The theme for that week was, how would you help? And so they asked people just to speak to that. And so CPOC used our social media to inform the community about local advocacy agencies who provide services to families. We gave a lecture at LaSalle University to the students in the Department of Sociology and Criminal Justice. As you can see from the graphic here, this is our Community Outreach and Constituent Services Specialist, Julian. This is something that the outreach team frequently does. People reach out to us because they want to learn more about Oversight. They want to learn more about our agency and what we do. And so we often will go and speak at schools, colleges, and other community groups to inform them about what Oversight means in this city. We also issued a statement regarding the guilty plea of former officer Edsal Mendoza for the murder of TJ Siderio. If you did not have an opportunity to read that, it's available on our website and on our social media. Our Police Board of Inquiry hearings, the police department's PBIs, the CAPs are open to the public. CAP stands for Complaints Against Police. Those are complaints that stem from complaints that community members lodge with either CPOC or with Internal Affairs. And so those are open to the public. This graphic here just shows you the dates. We have May 13th, the 21st, 23rd, and the 28th. The picture to the right just shows you what the PBI hearing room looks like. And if you have not had an opportunity to go and see what those hearings look like, it is something that's very interesting to see. Anytime there's a CAP, you are looking for 2 things. If you're on the panel, you're looking to determine, number 1, whether or not the police department had a policy that prohibited the alleged misconduct. And then number two, the panel is looking to decide whether or not that conduct occurred. And so you have the department advocate who would act as the prosecutor, who would bring the allegations, talk about the incident, and then you have the FOP attorney who is there with the officer who's alleged to have acted improperly, and they act as the defense attorney and they defend the officer. And then the panel independently, it's 3 people, they make a determination on whether or not there should be any discipline imposed, and that is referred to the police commissioner for review. Okay, so if you are wondering when you can catch up with the outreach team, this is some information about where we will be next. We, right now, from May 1st to the 29th, we have been having our spring toiletry drive. That is a drive to support survivors of human trafficking. It's a drive that we are partnering with several agencies and groups that service human trafficking survivors. There's a wish list, things if you're interested in picking up a few items and dropping them off. We have drop-off locations throughout the city and one here in the building where CPOC is. May 9th, we will be at the Mayor's Budget and Resource Town Hall. That is going to be at Penn Memorial Church. May 10th, we will be at the Breaking Barriers community event in Dickinson Square Park. On the 21st, we will be at the Mayor's Budget and Resource Town Hall, another one that's going to be at Christie Rec Center. On the 29th, we are planning to give our presentation at the Civilian Police Academy. The police department is doing something a little bit different this year. Usually the Civilian Police Academy takes place at PPD headquarters in the Northeast. They are taking it to the community. So this year, the Civilian Police Academy is going to be at Drexel University. And so we are a part of their curriculum. And so we're going to be giving our CPOC presentation on May 29th. And then on the 31st, we will be at the Police Academy to give our oversight lecture to the police recruits, class 402 A and B. It'll be about 80 recruits. Before they graduate, we always go and give a presentation about oversight, about CPOC. So the first time they encounter us is not just randomly at some event, or if they happen to be at PBI or something like that, try to introduce ourselves before they are given their assignment to go out to their districts. And then stay tuned because we will be posting information about our May community town hall discussion, which will take place later on this month. And that is it from outreach. I will turn it back over to our executive director, Tanya.
So as the commissioners can see, the office has been very busy as it always is in the month of April. And you can see all the things we have on our plate for the month of May. And so we want to open it up to the commissioners for any questions or comments that you all have. But it's exciting just to see the work that they're doing. And so we're going to keep it up. So I want to open it up for our commissioners for any comments and questions.
I have a comment, and it's just a request for our outreach team as well as our investigations team. Can you guys inform the community what part you play individually in the investigation process of civilian complaints?
Okay, Commissioner Bennett, you're talking about when people file a complaint with us. What does that process look like? Okay, sure. So when, a community member files a complaint with us, a lot of times, when we're talking to people, we say we refer it to internal affairs. But that word refer there, that is a big word because there is quite a bit that happens when we refer a complaint. So what we usually do is, we talk to the complainant, we get information about the incident. If they have the name of the officers, the description, that's helpful, but we don't necessarily need that. We write up the description and then we forward it to internal affairs. And then when we're monitoring that complaint, of course, they will let us know when it's assigned to an investigator. And then we will go with the complainant to their internal affairs interview. While they're there at the interview, we ask questions that are part of the record. We're also present when the officers are there, so we can ask questions of the officers as well that become part of the record. We can walk the complainant through the process, let them know what's going to be happening next, and just sort of make sure that there's sort of a warm handoff when we send things to internal affairs. And then, of course, later on, if the allegations are sustained and it moves through the process and those charges are sent to PBI, we're a part of the PBI panel. And so we would be there to determine whether or not, as I said before, did the police department have a policy that prohibited the conduct, and did the conduct occur?
I don't know if any other commissioners have any questions, or can I elaborate on this?
Yeah.
Can I elaborate? Is it okay if I elaborate it? Thank you.
Yes, please, Commissioner Bennett.
And the PBI hearing is where? I mean, I'm not the PBI hearing. When they what section of the city is the internal affair interview?
So internal affairs is in the Northeast, but there have been times where if there are transportation issues or other accommodation needs, IAD has been able to do interviews, on Zoom. We've had constituents that need translation, so we've been able to do it virtually if it's a little bit easier. But typically they are at internal affairs in the Northeast on Dungan Road.
Okay, is there a way is it, when you fill out the complaint form, is there a option on a complaint form to let them know, like, okay, would you rather it be in person or Zoom?
That is not an option on the form, but when we're talking to complainants, certainly as we are, referring the complaint to internal affairs, we would talk to them about any accommodation issues they may have or concerns they have. And of course, communicate with the investigator just to let them know, if the person needs to bring like a support person with them who can't sit in the interview, but perhaps based on the incident, you may feel more comfortable having a relative just drive you or sit with you in the waiting room. So we try to help as much as we can if we have that information from the complainant.
And when it comes to the PBI, Police Board of Inquiries hearing, right? Is it a requirement for the person that submitted the complaint to be at that hearing?
My understanding is that the internal affairs, they will attempt to have the complainant present. But if they're not able to make it, or perhaps they decide, they aren't comfortable coming or they don't want to come, they do have the interview and the memo that internal affairs would have drafted when they interviewed the complainant that can just be read or shared with the panel. So you don't have.
I just wanted to establish that CPOC, the Citizens Police Oversight Commission, does offer supports. I don't want to call them victims of police misconduct. I want to call them complainants at this time. We do offer them victims. We do offer the complainant support. Do we have any, all right, so let's say, do we have any resources for the complainant outside of CPOC?
Yes, if we're talking to, and this is where the constituent services piece comes in from outreach, a lot of times if, we're talking to a complainant and they mention something and we know of an agency that can, offer additional support, we'll let them know, try to make a connection with another group that way. But I also just want to mention, we do accept anonymous complaints. So I don't want anyone to think that you necessarily have to, give your name. If you see something and you want to report it, you have video you want to share, you can be anonymous and we can still move forward with it.
And I want to thank Commissioner Bennett for that question, and also Director Grimmett for that response, because a lot of times when people come and they hear, like you said, Director Grimmett, the word refer, they think, oh, it's just, I've just come into this office and I've just given this complaint and it's going off. But as you can see, the office monitors it very closely. We have supports for people that file the complaint. So I am so appreciative of that question and also the response. So for those of you that are watching it in real time, or those people that may click on this and watch the meeting later, to understand that This is a very robust process in our office, and that as we see other holes that can be filled, we're going to try to fill them because this is an important thing. And I'm so excited that we take anonymous complaints because, believe it or not, other agencies do not. And you can find out a lot of interesting stuff from anonymous complaints because that gives people who may be afraid of retaliation or other things the opportunity to report something. And so I want people to make sure they also heard that I'm going to put a tag onto her to say you can also file a complaint anonymously. So I see that Commissioner Commissioner Thomas wanted to jump in.
Yes, thank you, Ms. McClary. I just want to verify to my other commissioners, have you ever reviewed any data from CPOC, from complaints? Have you ever reviewed reports from CPOC, from complaints? Have you seen any documentation? Have we ever sat with staff and reviewed any reports or any data from CPOC? I just want to clarify that because I know I haven't. So I'm asking my co-commissioners, Commissioner Bennett, Commissioner PA, Commissioner Solomon, have you ever seen any reports or any data on complaints that were filed with our department?
In reference to this question, I am going to ask counsel for the limitations on this question.
I'm happy to have a conversation, Commissioner Bennett, about specific data that you'd like to take a look at. I know that you and I spoke previously and we were going to have you come in the office, and then I think it was a scheduling issue that didn't happen. But we have, as you know, circulated a number of reports to the commission before they're published. We've put out, reports a couple of times in the last year.
Point of order, I'm sorry, point of order, General Counsel. Point of order. What I'm asking, have any of us come to the office as commissioners, sat down with you or any other staff members and reviewed any reports, any data in reference to civilians filing complaints? Have we seen them? Have we ever sit with you and we reviewed complaints and data?
And my question is, how much of that can I answer?
It's a yes or no question.
Hold on.
You've received confidential briefings on some information, obviously. I think we've informed the commissioners about which information is confidential.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if, all right, so the answer is yes for me.
No for me.
All right.
Commissioner Solomon. He's on mute.
I have no comment.
Okay, Commissioner PA.
For all things that I have questions on, the staff provides information. So specifically, I've never, asked personally, but anything that I have asked for, we do get the information, and the directors make it very clear that if we do need any information, they're willing to give it to us.
So what I am trying to clarify here, and this is the Sunshine Act, transparency, and the Right to Know Act, that at no time have I ever gone to the staff's office and reviewed any documentation, nor was it sent to me. This is what I'm trying to clarify. I've never received any documentation of any citizen who filed complaints. I need to clarify that. Never have I received anything. Never have I received data, and nor have I reviewed a complaint. This is what I want to clarify here. Never have I received anything. So I must clarify that. I must clarify in front of the community, in front of our new executive director, and in front of general counsel that never have I reviewed any documentation, any data, and any complaints. I've never been to the office and I never reviewed them. So I need to clarify that. That is important that I clarify that. Thank you, Executive Director McCleary.
And I want to say in response to that, and I think just this theme, I am going to work with my team because I do feel like there is some stuff that even the public should know. I know in former roles in other cities where I have been, we've been able to just give a summary of the complaint. So those ones that we came in, you would just get a paragraph. It doesn't say the person's name, but you get a flavor of what the complaint is. And because I do think that's important. Are we starting to see a lot of complaints based on traffic stops? Are we starting? And just having a number is of course important. But I think actually get a flavor of what the complaints are in a way that allows us to not breach any kind of confidentiality and things would be important. So I'm looking forward to working with my team to see if we can bring some more transparency to the numbers that we report out each month.
Thank you. I believe it is very important. But what I am trying to make sure that the community realize, never that I was willing to go downtown and sit down with your now staff and review some reports and some data, but it never happened. And I'm okay with that. I just need to clarify that I've never received any confidential reports or data in reference to any civilians that have filed complaints with this department.
So I think Commissioner Thomas's statement is clear for the record for those watching live and for those that are watching in the future. So let me see if I have any other comments or questions from the commissioners. That you all got a lot of information in those few minutes that we reported out, a lot of exciting information. So any other comments or questions from our commissioners?
I have a comment. Can you hear me? Can we, I know we have spoken about, our outreach team, right? Can we, well, let me give it a little history. During the, budget hearings, we were asked about the extent we go to connect with the community as far as language barriers. Can you explain that to the public on
Sure, the
how we
language access.
tackle those issues, how we tackle language barriers?
Yes. So the goal with that project is to basically just talk to the community about how they what their opinion is, and how satisfied are they with how the police department utilizes language access. We understand that when people speak languages that other than English, sometimes they may be reluctant to talk to law enforcement, or if law enforcement is creating a barrier, when it comes to people coming forward, whether they're a witness, whether they're a victim. We just really want to get some feedback from the community about their experience so that in the future we can provide some information to the police department on things that we feel the community has shared with us that they need to improve. And so as of right now, we're talking about language access, but the goal is to also expand it to include people that may need sign language.
Mm.
Any other comments or questions from our commissioners?
I have a comment. I would like to say we did a lot of good stuff over the last month. So I did want to give kudos and highlight, obviously, the executive director report and all the cool things that each department did. I know we were going through a transition, obviously onboarding a new executive director, but we didn't take our foot off the gas, as I would say. So definitely, good job, especially with the outreach team, and looking forward to see what we do in the near coming months.
I'm gonna make you all laugh. So some people, because a lot of you, I'm very new to you. I'm also a pastor, so every now and then you'll hear me say amen. I was gonna say amen. But that's kind of where that comes from. If you hear me slip into my pastor voice, maybe. Any other comments or questions from the commissioners before I turn it back over to Council Twig?
We do have one hand. I thought I saw two hands raised from our attendees this evening.
Okay.
So I can, if that's okay, Executive Director McCleary, is it okay to call on the community if any of them have a comment or question?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I do a quick intro before we get to that section, Talia?
Of course.
Thanks so much. I also need to make an apology and correction. Apparently facilitating the meeting and taking notes overwhelmed me and I miscounted. We do have a quorum tonight, so thanks to Commissioner Bennett for catching that. And so if we could quickly approve the May meeting agenda, that's for today, and approve the prior meeting's public minutes, that would be great. Do I hear a motion on either of those?
A motion to approve the prior meeting minutes and today's agenda.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bennett seconds that motion.
Thank you. Commissioners, all in favor, say aye.
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 I do not agree. I do not agree for the minutes for April 8th. I was not in attendance.
Okay.
Okay. That was the April public meeting.
No,
Uh,
April, it was an
It
executive.
was April 2nd. Now, April 2nd, public
April
meeting
2nd,
minutes.
it was an executive session, but on April 8th, you had an executive session again, and I was not in attendance.
Understood. So we
Thank
are
you.
considering the public meeting minutes from April 2nd.
That's fine. Thank you. I agree.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Commissioners. The agenda and the minutes are both approved. Okay, let's turn to community comment. You have each participant will have 3 minutes to address the commission. Any documents or communications that you might want to supplement your comment with should be submitted to cpoc@phila.gov. That's CPOC@phila.gov. I will keep the time and notify the speaker when 3 minutes have elapsed. Questions and comments should be limited to the topic of our meeting tonight. So that would be the agency information that you've heard from the ED report, and questions from our new executive director are very welcome. And please note that the commission may choose to or may not be able to respond to your public comment in the moment during this meeting. You are very welcome to follow up by calling CPOC at 215-685-0891 or emailing us at cpoc@phila.gov. I would also like to say we'll start with questions from the community, followed by any from the press. And feel free to specify if you're directing it to someone specific. Otherwise, as I said, we'll take them under advisement. Okay, Talia, can you help me by calling on a first person?
Yes, so we do have one hand raised, but we also had someone who reached out ahead of time that notified us that they wanted to speak. So I will call on that person first. If they are here, James Glover. There is a JC in the as one of the attendees. I'm not sure. Okay, the hand is raised. So at this point, I'm going to unmute you.
Yeah, I have multiple questions. My first question is you guys said you help facilitate interviews. I actually have a complaint with you guys, and the police internal affairs refused to do the interview in person, and you guys didn't help out. Is the commissioner going to do anything or get an interview rescheduled for this specific complaint? Because you were talking about how you guys assist the community, and they refused to do it. In the legal counsel said it was nothing they can do. So I want to get see if I can get an answer on that. Then I'll come back with a couple other questions.
Okay, Mr. Glover, we're not able to answer questions in real time. But if you want to go ahead and say anything else you'd like to say, and then we'll do our best to respond if there's anything we can respond to. Thank you.
What do you mean you're not able to answer questions in real time? I'm just trying to have you stop it and have the questions answered. So I gotta say all my questions first.
I can't speak to the specifics of the situation that you're talking about. So if you'd like to tell us any other questions you have, I can see if there's anything general that I can answer.
Okay. If the board of commissioners haven't reviewed any reports, is that some type of, or any information in person? Could you explain if that's like some type of violation, as well as them not like ever coming to the building? And as well, does the policy group, I'm not going to keep asking questions, I'll just send an email, but does the policy group regulate the policies of what the police do, as well as the CPOC policy in regard to different policies that CPOC has? One of them regard to like people being able to visit the office, because I'm curious in regard to that policy. I've never seen it. I'm curious about that. So that'll be my last question. Any other questions, I'll send an email to the new director or CPOC.
Dean, may I?
Hmm.
If I am allowed to support you in your interview with Internal Affairs, I would be more than happy to, if I am allowed.
Oh, I'll take that. I'll accept that offer.
I do have a follow-up question for you. When you say went to the office, what office are you referring to?
I'm referring to you
Commissioner
guys
Bennett.
not going to the you said no commissioner has been to the office. So the question was in regard to citizens as well as you guys not going there. I want to know the policy in regard to people or citizens going to the office. I've never seen the official policy, and I want to know if the policy unit does policy for the CPOC as an organization, as well as help police with their policies. That's one kind of question with two parts in it.
Well, I go to the office. So as a commissioner, I drop by the office often. I haven't seen any community members. I'm sorry, I haven't seen any community members come to the office, but I do know, I'm sorry, I haven't seen. I haven't, am I clear? I haven't seen any community members come to the office myself, but I have been to events where it has been offered to reach out to CPOC if you have a need to come to the office and speak, or somebody from CPOC could come out to you. So that's my answer to that question.
Thanks, Commissioner Bennett. I just want to try to answer as best I can here, Mr. Glover. In general, we do not take walk-in appointments from members of the public. We do make exceptions where there are needs such as disabilities or language issues. But in general, we are able to help most people over the phone or virtually. So that's currently what our accommodation allows. And I'm sorry, there was another question. Oh yeah.
Who makes that policy? Like, do I have to do a records request on that policy? Do I have to ask the new director? Because right now it's verbal. So normally when people tell me about policies, I want to actually see it in writing. So I want to know if the policy unit makes the policy. Who makes the policy?
So that's actually a building policy. If I'm correct, you can't get into the building without calling up and organizing a meeting with, and that's with any agency in the building that CPOC is in. You have to buzz in, you have to meet with the secretary and actually get accepted upstairs. So this, the building is
But that's
not
not
a,
necessarily true, because I visit the law department as recently as last year or the year before that.
Mhm.
You could just go right up. Like if you have a subpoena that the law department has to approve, you can just go right to the law department, get them to stamp it in the clerk, and then go out and walk out with it and serve it and mail it. So that's, you know, I know they have a new policy now, but I mean, if you guys are saying your policy is based on the building policy, then that's being told right now. But what I was told is you guys have your own policy. That's why I asked if the policy unit makes that policy as well as help with police making that policy. You know, you get what I'm saying? They always get like multiple answers.
Mr. Glover, I think it would be clearest if you can email us and we can make sure that we get the right answers and follow up with you that way, okay?
Okay, what about the other question?
Go ahead and email me all of your questions. That way I can make sure that that we're responding to anything that we can give you information on, okay?
All right.
Thank you. Okay, Talia, do we have another comment?
Yes, we do. The person is identified as a good citizen. So at this time, I'm going to allow them to speak.
Okay, good evening. Congratulations to the new director. We're really looking forward to the works that you're going to be doing here in Philadelphia. I don't know. I live in a little bit of backwards land here because nobody that I know of, including myself, has ever been assisted with internal affairs when it comes to filing a report. As a matter of fact, I've received a lot of pushback from the state. So I would like to use a direct email address to the editor so that I can speak with her directly. I'm interested in why everything has to be done offline through email when we're trying to get things in public record. I'd like to know, with the new person who is involved with the social media, if they were going to stop violating the First Amendment right by blocking people from commenting on your limited public forum when they are not in violation of any Facebook or public media forum platforms. I'd also like to know if the person who is doing the inspections of the officer-involved shootings is doing it with any type of audio, video, or photograph. How is that process being done? How are those records being captured and held for future use? You spoke of the body-worn camera program. We still haven't seen anything about that. You know, it's just quite perplexing. I'm like flabbergasted here. And then finally, unfortunately, you took it off the agenda because I was really looking forward to being able to talk about how staff members have put out the names and phone numbers and email addresses of sexual assault victims who have filed reports with your agency and then got gaslit and got a lot of pushback and got slapped in the face by somebody's staff member's husband, and then you tried to cover that up. So if we could take that to public record, that'd be awesome. Would anybody like to respond?
If you could email the agency. I'm gonna pass up on responding right now.
I mean, it seemed like it was a question for the COPC, not the commissioners.
So can we have that individual muted? Because I believe it's 3 minutes for good citizen.
No, it hasn't been my 3 minutes. I'm watching the timer also. Please don't cut me off. That's actually a question for the executive director and council.
Council Twig, that's a very complicated set of allegations that you just raised. I think it would be very irresponsible of me to try to comment in the moment without knowing all of the facts. What makes sense to me is probably to either have you send us a very detailed email or to have you come and meet with us at the office so we can address those. Those are very serious allegations. And I don't think it would be very prudent for anybody to just speak off the top of our head without knowing the full background to be able to ascertain if any violations have been committed by anybody on the staff of CPOC.
I'd love to. I'll meet with you anytime. They have my email address and phone number. Reach out to me. I have the receipts, all of them.
Okay, I would just add that comments regarding anyone being harmed physically have already been put to bed, and it has been discussed ad nauseum.
Don't you dare lie.
So at this point, we're going to move on.
Leah Grimmage, don't you dare lie. It hasn't been put to bed. Your
Excuse me.
husband hit you in the face and you
Can we
avoided it.
mute this
Don't
commenter,
lie.
please?
Can we mute these?
I'm going to speak on this because I
Commissioner
was.
Thomas, we're not going to speak on this anymore tonight. This has not been on the
Then
agenda.
you can't, don't try to silence me because Executive Director McClary is not aware of what happened last year.
And
So
I'd be happy
please-
to have conversations with all of us to make sure that you can be heard on
then
this
please,
issue. We're just not
she
going to do it in a
must-
public
she
meeting.
must know. Point.
No,
of-
Commissioner
point of-
Thomas, we're not going to address this more tonight.
No, she must know. She must not be kept in the dark.
Attorney Twig,
Are there,
since my name was mentioned, I am just going to say that I would respectfully ask that since this incident has already been discussed and it has been adjudicated and decisions have already been made, there's already been a determination about what occurred, I'm going to ask if we respectfully move on and not bring this up again. It has been discussed repeatedly at this point. And so that's my request as a staff member with this agency. And if we're going to have discussion, I would I'd be allowed to.
Shame on you.
Celia,
I
can
would
you,
just ask that Council Twig just remind us of the rules of decorum. I believe in any public meeting, if at any point in time a speaker becomes disruptive, they can be ejected from the meeting. I'm not sure who Good Citizen is, but I think that at this point in time, it feels a little disruptive to me. So if you can remind us of the public.
I'm sorry, ma'am. How many people is in it? Selena Rise?
yes, if anybody is disruptive in a public meeting, we can ask for them to be removed. This person is over their time limit and is making unfounded false allegations. Can they be removed from the meeting, please, meeting host?
Point of order, point of order.
Commissioner Thomas, we're not going to discuss this further. This person has violated the internal policies of our
I
organization.
understand what you're saying, General Counsel, but I feel that our executive director should not be put in the dark and she must be aware of things. That's all I'm saying. I'm not being disruptive. I had my own personal experience on April 2nd, so I would like to have a one-on-one conversation with our new executive director, what my experience has
And
been.
Commissioner Thomas,
That's
as
it.
I told you, we will organize that conversation for you.
That
There's
would be
nothing more that we need to
wonderful.
say
I
tonight.
greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it.
And I just want to clarify for the record, Commissioner, obviously I was not speaking about you being disruptive. I was talking about the person doing public comment.
Thank you, everyone. Do we have any additional public comments tonight?
Not that I can see.
Thank you so
Anyone
much, everyone.
wants to raise their hand, they're free to do so. I don't see any hand raised at this time.
Yeah, I have one question. Will
I'm
What
sorry,
type of
this participant has already spoken for several minutes. We're going to follow up by answering your questions in an email. We only have
I
3
just had a
minutes and
brief-
we have to stay with the, yeah, I'm sorry. Please send us an email. We'd be happy to try to address the things in that format. Okay, at this time, do I have a motion to adjourn from the commissioners?
I motion.
I
Any
second
second?
motion
That
that.
motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us this evening, everyone. Have a good night.